Hello lurkers, and hello all you archaeologists. I'm the Johnstruct, welcome to the proximity. That's the wrong day, I've just not updated that. Just do that, I think. I'm having an Alan Wake 2 adventure. Can you believe they made two of these? I actually honestly was a surprise. I normally say that as a joke when we're in like the 7th game. Let's load our game. Because we are nearing the end of return, I think. We're close to it. I don't know which one I want. They're both... That one. I want that one. Give me that one. I think I might be able to complete this today. We have a Dark Ocean summoning to do. And of course we have Nightless Night.
The FBC usually handles stuff like this, right? Any thoughts?
Hold up. You brought a paranatural object in here without telling me and then almost handed it over to a hostile entity?
I didn't know if I could trust you. That was a mistake. So was believing Scratch. But it's not too late. I just need to understand more.
Yeah, you got that right. Let's start acting like we're on the same side, yeah?
The horror story's changing reality. It made it so my daughter died here, even though she's supposed to be back home in Virginia. Do you know if that's...
AWEs are localized distortions of reality. The area outside town might not be affected. Sometimes they expand, sometimes they fizzle out. If we can make sure it's the latter, your kid might be fine.
So tell me what I'm missing. The FBC must know something.
Good news, we have Bureau intel on all of this. Bad news, it's highly classified. Good news, consider yourself deputized into the Federal Bureau of Control. Here's a key to the cell where we keep the files. Happy reading.
Okay. Thanks. Go team.
One more thing, the lake house. I didn't give you all the details earlier, but now that you're part of the team, I can really let loose. Misery loves company.
What happened to the lake house?
Oh. Fair enough, I've done that already, so...
The whole thing is a nightmare. I can't let my family be torn apart.
Having family isn't easy in this line of work. The late nights, travel, alternate realities threatening their existence. My ex-wife couldn't take it.
Karen, you're better off without her.
I like that they became
I
friends.
know I am.
Alright, cool.
Scratch pretended to be Wake to trick us.
He almost won me over. I should have trusted my gut. Had a bad feeling about him when we found him at the lake. When that insane monster cloud came at me in the woods, I saw a face inside it. Wake's. I think he was always a monster, always Scratch.
You really don't remember Logan living in Virginia with me and David?
I remember you and David having problems. You needed a break. You and Logan moved to Watery and then Logan, well, that awful thing happened. After you came back to work, I thought you'd be the perfect partner for this case, if you were willing to return to the area.
Okay. That's enough.
So, it would have been really cool to play this game with, like, all the DLC, like, baked in. And I could have waited and done that all on hard, but also fuck doing Lake House on hard. Lake House is a complete dick. On normal, to be honest. I cheated to do that boss, because it's just really fucking obnoxious, and the game doesn't drop items. Alan Wake and the Cult Connection Summary. And I tried. I didn't just immediately turn on cheats. I tried for ages and went. And then I'd spent like an hour or so running up and down the facility trying to get items to drop so I had healing items. And it just fucking didn't. Just the drop rates are really low in Lake House. In 2010, writer and suspected para-utilitarian Alan Wake was reported to have disappeared into the Cauldron Lake, known as the Threshold Site. Known Threshold Site. 3 years later, a small group responsible for multiple killings was arrested in New York City by federal investigators. The murders were recreations of deaths found in the writing of Alan Wake. Okay. Interrogations of the murderers revealed they saw Wake as some sort of prophet, describing themselves as his cult, and considered his novels to be sacred texts. As Wake was missing at the time, it's likely he had any personal involvement with this. It's unlikely he had any personal involvement with this cult. At least there's no evidence supporting this idea. Soon after New York cult was detained, an organisation known as Cult of the Tree began operating around Cauldron Lake. Same area Wake disappeared. This is now the second organisation branding themselves as a cult in direct physical connect. Okay. We know this one already, don't we? Incident was visually confirmed. Okay, no, we read this. We read these.
The story is changing your memories. What you're remembering is fiction. Logan is alive. I'm not divorced. We never moved here. I remember the truth.
No. Wake or Scratch, whoever that was, said the story could be used to attack us. We all need to question what's real. With that said, how do we know the story isn't giving you false hope?
I can't convince them. I just need to change the story.
Sorry about that. Some Tango Cherry. Be good for what it ails me. Yeah, alright. But we do have this. We can turn the limiters off.
I can tell something is wrong. What's happening to Casey?
I'm a goner. Swell. A shadow crawling under my skin. In my head. Call my ex. Tell her I'm sorry. Terminal case, Casey.
Something is wrong with him. He's hurt worse than he says. He's scared. I assumed Wake escaped the dark place. Is it possible he's still there?
The Big Apple in an ocean of darkness. Gone diving. Note from my editor. You're using the wrong tense. Trapped in a loop. My friends will meet him when I'm gone.
Wake is still trapped in the dark place. Maybe he always was. Scratch was pretending to be Wake. Manipulating me. What does he want from me? No! I'm in control here. It's my mind place. He's powerful. Too powerful. Just his presence here makes me feel sick. Like a wave of terror through my head. I feel his single-minded drive to get the clicker.
Cool.
Agent Young held his clipboard up to the light. The equipment was all accounted for. He ticked the boxes, satisfied. A noise on the other side of the back lot made him pause. He peered into the darkness. Nothing. Shrugging, he signed and dated the form. Estevez wanted everything ready, just in case. Young appreciated a cautious leader. Estevez had held it together even after the oldest house had gone dark. Young began to head inside. The local sheriff's station was a tight fit, but at least they had a coffee machine. Young felt optimistic. They even had the para-utilitarian in custody already. Another clatter behind him. Closer this time. He turned, hand on his holster. He called out to the darkness.
This station has been seized by the Federal Bureau of Control. You're not authorized to be here.
Suddenly, the lights flickered, went off. Young couldn't see a thing. Then from inside the station, the screams began.
Cool. Sorry, the boost didn't take for some reason. Okay, this should have probably used a bunch of my items as well. So hopefully I have some space. We can switch the charms back as well.
This is the kind of case my ex hated. The ones that might kill me.
That's funny. The cases that might kill me were my ex's favorite.
I won't lie, this is kind of boomer new choices. Boomer humor. But you know, my ex.
I'm sorry about your brother, Ilmo.
Jaakko was all heart. He always went along with my ideas, no matter how stupid they were. Always happy to help. I got carried away. I never think things through. It's my fault.
I realize it's a bad time. But I need you to tell me everything about the cult of the tree.
The cult is my craziest idea that ever worked. Look, what kind of a cult calls themselves a cult? Exactly. We protect water in Bright Falls. We're the good guys. A secret neighborhood watch. Well, that was the idea anyways. Look, we've always known about the horror inside the lake. When any Taken come out, we kill them.
You don't turn people into Taken. You kill the ones who already have. You were trying to kill Alan Wake. Why?
Nothing good has ever come out of Cauldron Lake. The nightmare that hit Bright Falls in 2010 was all because of his writing. And ever since then, pages of his stories are floating up from the lake, and monsters keep popping out. It's all him, Wake. And if we don't stop him, no one will.
Wake's evil doppelganger Scratch is the threat we're facing, not Wake. And I will stop him.
I've never heard of anyone called Scratch.
I like the idea that other people can read the pages because, yeah, obviously they should be able to read the pages. You've been handing them to people and everything.
How long has the cult been around for?
Certain folks around here have always known about Cauldron Lake. Before us, it was the Torchbearers. And when I inherited the mission, I wanted to call it a cult. It was genius. Just a name did half the work. Made people too scared to go into the woods at night. Business 101. Fear is a great motivator.
I hate the puzzles, Ilmo. People love the puzzles, Jaakko. That's just the lake house, isn't it?
Elmo said the cult kills Taken. Is he telling the truth?
Surplus deer masks buy in bulk. We've got a floater, a Taken on the shore. Call the gang Yako. We are going hunting. Cult of the Tree. Keeping the town safe since 2013.
Elmo is telling the truth about the cult. They really were fighting the Taken. We're on the same side. If the cult is killing Taken, then why did Nightingale turn into one?
Private party. Invitation only. Wrong time. Wrong place. Time to go, Yako. A job half done isn't done at all.
Nightingale became a Taken because the Bookers interrupted their ritual. So the Cult of the Tree actually kills Taken. They were on our side, even if their methods are misguided and criminal.
It looked right from where we were standing. Nothing's what it seems in this case. Too many stories contradicting each other. Too many versions of the truth.
We have a lot of catching up to do after this thing is all over. Everything is different now. My family, me, the whole fucking world.
I'll buy the coffee, Anderson. Partners to the end. This case is one for the books.
I see what you did there.
Okay, I would have liked a shoebox. This is the new one.
The cult didn't trust Wake. Or is it Scratch?
Mr. Wake, you've been taken into FBC custody and will receive an in-depth interrogation at a later date. But for now, I need to ask if there's anything you can tell us regarding the incident at the hotel. Anything we may need to know. There's a force here you don't understand. A presence. It's after me. It wants to consume me. Consume everything. Yes, you mentioned this dark presence before. Why does it want you? Feeds on artists, on the art they create. It wants me because of my writing, but it can be any form of art, any artistic expression, music, painting, film, photography. It can feed on all of it. Any of it, all of it. You have to believe me. We're well aware of this entity, Mr. Wake. We've been tracking the situation here for a long time. You yourself have been on our radar for over a decade. I'm sure those nuts in the research department are going to love checking you out. Hey, make a note to redact that before submission. Let's get back on track. You mentioned the light switch earlier. Where is it now? I don't know, but I need it. I can't end this without it. We help me get it. Mr. Wake, you're in custody, pending charges for breaching numerous federal violation codes. We're not going to give you a suspected paranatural object. You're not fucking listening to me. We're listening just fine now. Do you have any accomplices? Fuck you. Let me the fuck out of here. It's coming for me. We're all in danger. Interview was terminated due to subject being uncooperative.
Wake isn't the first person the dark presence disguised itself as.
Though extensive interviews with witnesses of AWE 35 additional details regard the shadow A-010 have been discovered. Circle brackets. Redacted and redacted, both present during AWE, reported seeing a woman named Baba Yaga in Bright Falls at the time. Yaga was a former actress and Bright Falls resident who immigrated with the filmmaker Thomas Sade from Finland and was reported to have drowned in Cauldron Lake during a redacted AWE in 1970. Research staff have they're gonna have to show that at some point, aren't they? If they do an Alan Wake 3, we probably might get a 70s Thomas Zane as a character, like maybe, because that's one thing they've not done is the full time travel loop, and they do love themselves a time travel loop. Research staff have concluded that Yager's appearances is likely the case of shadow manifesting in human form. Research is ongoing as to the nature of the connection between the shadow and the psychophysical signatures available for it to mimic. Current hypotheses are the shadow can only manifest as artists or individuals tangentially involved in the creation of art who have operated within a certain physical range of the Cauldron Lake. The shadow can manifest as any individual contained. Definition needed within Cauldron Lake. Research is actively ongoing.
The lake is a gateway to the dark place.
At approximately 7 o'clock, September 13th, 2023, readings from a remote surveillance unit monitoring Cauldron Lake, known as the Threshold, to what the researchers theorise is the origin of Dimension A40. The shadow passed acceptable limits. Attempts to contact FBC research facility, codenamed the Lake House, was unsuccessful. On-site event verification was not possible. Response procedures are initiated with immediate effect. KF Estevez mobilised investigation unit beta from the remote operations at Redacted. All shadow-specific equipment has been approved to confirm an active event. If an active AWE is occurring, the dispatch team will identify its nature and severity, limit exposure, and attempt to contain or neutralize the source. If no event is active, check monitoring equipment, perform a limited profile sweep of the area, and check status of Lake House and its staff. Additional relative operatives in the area include the Cult of the Tree, Redacted, and Alan Wake, currently missing.
What the hell is a para-utilitarian?
You're a para-utilitarian, you're a seer. Based on the reports, the item is a light switch from a lamp cord, and the part of a severed cord is still attached. Eyewitnesses' accounts suggest that the item possesses the ability to alter reality. Changes made based on Redacted when used by a Kipple para-utilitarian. Passing this item's effect from that of Cauldron Lake Threshold, responsible for recurring AWEs in the area, is difficult, because the only reported use of the item have occurred near this threshold. Without more data, we cannot confirm its item intensifies the effect of the threshold or vice versa, or if there is no connection whatsoever. Recorded material from Dr. Hartman after becoming Redacted will have revealed that Alan Wake eliminated Baba Yaga, likely a physical manifestation of Redacted, by inserting the light switch to its chest and flicking the switch. The item is confirmed to have been used in 2010 to turn fictional writing into reality. See file AWE45. However, it's unclear what the restrictions and limitations of this effect are. The light switch is a possible OOP, object of power. The team cannot conclusively classify the item based on second-hand accounts. Proper examination and testing required in order to determine classification and precise effect of the item. So yeah, if I were to write Alan Wake 3, and I've written like over 40,000 words of my own story. Obviously, doesn't count unless it's finished and released. But if I was going to, I'd extend the spiral outwards. That is to say, I'd visit the 70s with Thomas Zane, and I'd imply, because Stephen King is inspiration, right? So Cauldron Lake's always been there, which means there was stuff before Zane, right? Zane just inspired Alan Wake, and presumably it was a lot subtler. But it doesn't matter, because it's like a whole widening. Wake and Zane made the creature inadvertently stronger by writing it into the story, yeah. But by revisiting it, that would be how the Dark Presence gets stronger. Oh, no, you've just made me stronger earlier in time, and so by adding, you can make a pre-Thomas Zane writer. It doesn't have to be a writer, right? It could be a video game designer. I mean, in the 70s that would be quite hard to do, but you could imply an event before Thomas Zane turned up. Because you've already got 3 characters who are quite important. You'd be able to use Freya, somebody they've name dropped, right? As well as Odin and bloody Thor, and obviously the editor, the doctor, I forget his name, who's Zane's assistant. You know, you've got the whole house and everything, but like something happened for Thomas Zane because the accident with Baba Yaga happened originally, and something happened to cause him to dive into the like. I know it's backstory, and going into that is problematic. You don't always need a pre-story, but the way I'd pair it is I'd have a future story going on at the same time. You'd back and forth, and you'd imply the future story added the past story. That's what I do. You also have, obviously, the plot of Control is going to have some overlaps, if you excuse the pun. But there is.
Still seeing spots from those lights. What the heck was that about?
Can anybody see inside? Are they still there?
Every
still
time
seeing
something
spots from
exciting
those
happens in
lights.
this town, I
What the
miss
heck
it.
was that about?
Can anybody see inside? Are they still there?
Every time something
Are
exciting
you?
happens in this town, I miss it.
You have, what's his name? They've all obviously added a villain, and they mentioned him in this game, right? Fuck, what's his name? He's the leader of the retreat that Barry Wheeler goes to. Bless. No, I was right the first time around. Is Bless going to be a villain in Control 2, or is Bless going to be a villain in Alan Wake 3? Because I think the New York murders needs a leader, needs an Alan Wake figure. And it'd be very easy to say they never caught him. Why don't you turn the lights on? Carry me home. Right, yeah, I've learned. Or I've remembered, even. Dear Diary, Alan contacted me again. There was a message hidden in the newspaper. Wanted to make sure I was ready for his arrival. What a silly thing to even ask. Of course I'm ready. Duh, Alan. A normal got into dried apricots at work again. Swear we have to fumigate the place. Some guy at the diner got mad and I bought him a piece of cherry pie and he demanded a free piece of apple. But then he totally ordered cherry. When I pointed out he'd already took 2 bites of the cherry, he said he thought it was apple. Apple pie and cherry pie do not look the same. Sad unicorn. Apples are not cherries. Told him he could order another piece, but he'd have to pay for it. So he got mad and started screaming out, leaving me a bad review, like I care about reviews. Anyway, I took away his pie and told him baby shouldn't be eating sweets. He started and then left. Some people. Cynthia has been acting up lately. I think she's turning into you know what. Lots of you know what's popping up lately. I keep an eye on it. If things get out of hand, I can always get out the rifle. I'm sure Alan would appreciate me keeping the place safe. Alice really is a completely character. She wasn't in the first game. But, like, I love this Alice so much. Not Alice, Rose. I like Alice a lot more in this game as well. But I was talking about Rose. Since that was Rose's writing.
It won't open.
Okay, there's nothing important here.
I really like peaceful, at least usually.
Another cult stash?
I'm tempted to just look that up. I did it the first time round. We have to go to the park anyway. So double up. Up, down, left, out, right. Double up and left, right.
There's another lunchbox.
You wouldn't believe how hard it was to track down these lunchboxes. Thank goodness for the internet. Double up, left, right.
It's those feds. They brought trouble with them.
Moose statue. Okay, I'm going to be lazy. Work log, Alan. For once, I just want the code. Up, up, left, right, up, down. What? Oh, I feel like I would have accidentally hit that, but apparently I did not. Monsters live in the woods. Okay, I'm going to want all those. Okay, well, I couldn't find that manuscript page before, but I'll look again. Yeah, and I don't know, because they don't have the initiation return thing, so they're going to have to figure all that out as well. But sequel doesn't quite have the same. I will say, I know it's probably quite difficult to do. Because this isn't designed the same way like a Resident Evil 2 is, but like, a New Game Plus would be nice if you just changed the routes around somehow. And like, the story being different is a really good excuse for that, but I appreciate that's difficult to build.
After getting his hands on the FBC files, Ilmo Koskela knew what he was up against. He masterminded the cult, his and Yako's army, to fight the fucked up horror lurking under the lake, and a plan to keep those feds in their bunker by the lake in the dark. Outsiders would only screw things up. The Koskelas sabotaged the FBC's monitoring station and rigged it to alert them when something was brewing at the lake. One time months later, when the alarm rang, they drove to the lake again, ready for a fight. But this time, they didn't find any monsters. Something else washed ashore. The light switch. They'd read how Wake had stopped Jagger with it in the stolen files. From that point on, whenever the cult caught someone taken over by the Shadow, they cut out the monster's heart, pushed the switch into the hole, and flicked it.
Oh, you have the bullet of light as well, which presumably comes from somewhere. But yeah, any recurrent element can become a metatextual recurrent element. I'm sure, you know, I'm sure you could go to fucking Baudrillard and read that list of like how something goes from... it's going to be really difficult to explain what the fuck I mean. Okay, the 4 stages of simulacrum. So you have a reflection of basic reality. So a good, faithful copy. I am going to... so a realistic painting or photograph. Masking and perverting reality. The representation distorts the truth, but it still maintains a recognizable connection to original reality. So a computer game... Assassin's Creed will have... this is a good example, actually. Computer games use real locations, but sometimes they have to be distorted because computer games are a particular shape. In Assassin's Creed, there is Notre Dame, right? The church, the Notre Dame Cathedral, or whatever. But it won't be an exact representation because it's made to be a gameplay object. But of course, Notre Dame burnt down, and they needed records of what it looked like. And oh look, some people had quite detailed photographs of it. The third is, so that's a perversion of reality. The version of that in a game that's been distorted slightly. But it could just be a painting that's just a cartoon of a person, right? That's a distortion of reality. 3. The absence of basic reality. The representation pretends to be a faithful copy, but there is no underlying reality left. So, e.g. a movie set that looks like a real town, but exists purely as a facade. I'm trying to think of an example here. Number 4 is for pure simulation. The sign that no longer bears any relation to any reality whatsoever becomes its own real thing. In this stage, the understanding of the world is formed entirely by signs, codes, and models. This is about hyperreality. It goes to talk about Disneyland. But the point is, this is what The Matrix was based on, this idea. But the point is that, so adverts are the very obvious go-to example. Adverts are a distortion of reality. Hey, this cereal is good for you. You ever read a cereal box? It's got vitamins in. It's got a lovely source of fibre. They don't advertise cereal as a thing that tastes good. They advertise it as a thing that's good for you. So people believe that cereal is good for you, and they make decisions based on the idea that cereal is good. They buy cereal and think, oh, that's good. And lots of advertising works on that. Lots of things are advertised as these weird secondary effects rather than it being the thing you want. A car doesn't get you to a place. A car shows, like, it is a symbol for you. Well, you're a professional and you drive a professional car. It's a secondary part of what that thing is, because now it's been inverted. That's the important part of the thing. And so we make the stock market is arguable, where money is an agreement we all made that things are valued for a certain reason, and we have to make these massive economic decisions based on this. But also, we made money the fuck up. It's why it's very frustrating when it's like, well, there's no money to do this. Like, you just do the thing. Like, and I'm not underplaying the difficulty of economics and just do this. But, like, I don't know, isn't it funny how it seems to work fine for, like, that millionaire's money is hypothetical. Yeah, but he gets to spend his hypothetical money on houses and stuff, and strangely those homeless people don't get to. Funny that. It's almost as if you could just give a lot of stuff away and it would still work just fine. So the point is if you have models based on fake reality, then suddenly decisions there's a cascade effect. Decisions way down the road are now being based entirely on things that aren't real. It's a phantasm. You can exist entirely down the road from a fake reality. I would argue the very obvious thing is the political party that you specifically disagree with. I'm being a coward here. I'm talking about Trump, obviously. Like, not like that. They think that Democrats are Satanists rather than just not a million miles away from the average Republican in terms of just working with, you know, like big pharma. Big pharma's a terrible example, actually. Corporate lobbies, right? Both Democrats and Republicans make decisions based on who's giving them the most money. They are ruthlessly money grubbing. They're the same in that way. But Republicans have this thing where, like, no, actually Democrats they murder children and drink their blood, and it's like, no, they don't. They're just greedy in the standard way. And you could say that's tactical, right? Because they're both greedy in the standard way, and the Republicans use this sort of extra thing to be like, yeah, but we're not. We're actually the good guy. But, like, my point is, for people who believe that wholeheartedly, there's a reality where, like, and obviously religion is the same. I didn't want to say that because I respect your religions to a certain extent, until like people start getting harmed by it, and then I don't. And I'm quite specific with what religion isn't capital C Christianity. That's not all Christian faiths. The old lady down the road has done nothing wrong to me just because she goes to church every Sunday. I'm talking about like, you know, fundamentalists generally. But my point is, that's an entire fake reality people have on top of their lives. But like, this is a metatextual game. That all those things are happening in actuality in the world of Alan Wake. That is what it is to be a postmodern game. That you use those in earnest by making them real, which is sort of funny because that's the process already. Also see Metal Gear Solid. But yeah, it's there are different layers of reality. That is to say that I am a John playing a computer game. So any computer game that acknowledges the existence of John has collapsed that line between the two. That's postmodern as well. And obviously fucking Rick and Morty. And people are fucking sick of postmodernism. I get it, but like this is what this is. The difference is something like a post Rick and Morty does a thing where, well, nothing means anything anymore because what is a person? And so, well, you have a pretty good idea of what. Alright, there's no such thing as a fish, right? Because a fish is a category we invented before we understood evolutionary where fish sits, and it's a really complicated subject. A worm is actually a better example I like. There's no such thing as a worm. There's an earthworm. That's a worm do. What's a worm do? Well, it crawls around like this. It's a joke from Red Dwarf. It's Rimmer's one tat up line. There's an earthworm, but there's no such thing as a worm. There's no category that has worms in. It's why like dragons are called worms and some snakes, because we just had a word called worm, and the worm is a noodly thing that does that, and everything that was a noodly thing that does that, well, it's a worm. And it turns out that is not the underlying connection between all those things. In fact, that those things might not even have a connection. They diverged well earlier, because that's how we categorize things now. We figure out where its branch was down the evolutionary chain and we make those connections. Well, these have like wrists, these have thumbs, this is the thumb line. So there's no such thing as a worm, and there's no such thing as fish, because there's no thing that defines all fish. That's why dolphins are mammals. And that's a sort of breakdown of classification, is my point. And if you do that with a postmodern edge to it, nothing means anything. And people who really hate postmodernism, that's the sticking point. And that's actually fine to be angry at. Like, nothing meaning anything is actually genuinely really annoying. Which is why you have when you do a postmodern story, you sort of have to stop doing that by the end and have this earnest moment where something means something, because in your personal space, actually there is meaning in the world. Otherwise, you just have Rick and Morty. And Rick and Morty does that as well, by the way. The best episodes are the episodes that do that at the end, where it's like, well, yeah, but who cares about like the billion chaotic universes? To you and me, something is real and exists. This has been John talking about postmodernism.
Aiming through the scope, Saga could see the flickering darkness that protected the Taken, saw it waver and jerk, saw a shifting opening in it. There, she fired, sending the bullet through to find its way home.
Nice. we clearly missed two at the top there. Oh, we're returning to Cauldron Lake.
The clicker amplifies any changes to reality suggested by a piece of art. Makes them permanent. The dark presence is vulnerable against bright light. At least that makes sense. Nah.
There we go, case closed.
The cult of the tree is just the Costello brothers' slightly misguided solution to the Taken problem.
These are for now.
Wake is trapped in the dark place. He's been reaching out, communicating with me in the overlaps.
So this whole system is not a million miles away from how like the Golden Idol games work, other than the fact that there's no, you can just click on all the thing. Like the conspiracy wall's cool because that's how you do these things, and the conceit's fun. But like the actual gameplay of these sections are like not terribly interesting.
I need to know what information I can still trust. Wake told me the clicker would fix this. But Wake was actually Scratch. How can I trust anything he said?
The artist must conclude his work. He rides a storm on your piece. Wake up and smell the danger. We told you already, kiddo. What Tom said about the light switch is true. Don't let the story confuse you. You need him to write the ending you want. The clicker can make that ending come true.
But we don't have Wake. Everything we knew about the clicker was true. He wasn't lying.
So, them being a seer and seers being able to see the original timeline does imply that there was a Tom, definitely a Tom before there was a Wake. That is to say that Wake wrote, Thomas Zane wrote Alan Wake into existence somehow, but I don't know the piece of art that he did, like how he did that. As a poet or as a... I would assume that the poet wrote the writer and the writer wrote the filmmaker.
Scratch told me the clicker can be used to change the story. Does that match your understanding of this thing?
Yeah, the light switch is a paranatural item, maybe even an object of power. We have verified reports that Alan Wake was in possession of it during the AWE here back in 2010.
She seems very surprised.
It definitely has power. We know that much.
I can come up with a plan. I always do. The clicker can fix this, but I can't use it without Wake. Tor knows about this stuff. Maybe he can help. Wake is still in the dark place. How do I get him out?
We live and breathe rock and roll. From the silence of screams, from the fever of dreams. The clicker can amp up other works of art, not just Tom's writing. Anything created with passion. The dark power of the lake will make it creep into reality. But if the holder of the clicker believes in the art, they can make it all come true in the flick of a switch.
I can use the clicker without Wake. Only Wake's writing can change the horror story. But I can use the clicker to change something else. Like getting Wake out of the dark place.
I have a deduction available. I'll be right back.